Good afternoon, everyone. Let's try that again. Good afternoon, everyone. So what is this disease we call obesity? I'm charged with telling you about that in the next 4 minutes. So first, I want you to look at this map. Find where you're located. We have over 81 countries represented here today at the OurCrowd Summit. And what you can see is that the prevalence of obesity is quite high and continues to rise, including in my home in the United States. When you're looking at this key on the stage here, what you're seeing is a heat map. So the more intense the color is, the more prevalent the disease is. Anything that's in that light green color is less than 5% prevalence of the disease of obesity. When we get into that kind of darker green, 5 to 10%. And that teal color, 10 to 20%. A little bit darker, 20 to 30%. And in areas, including those here in the Middle East and in the United States, what we see is greater than 30% prevalence of obesity based upon the world obesity data. So that's the data. But let's get into understanding this disease that we call obesity. And what we've learned is that energy balance is quite simple, right? It's all about our calories we take in, our food and beverage intake, and our calories we put out, how much we work out. And I did my kickboxing this morning. Did you guys before the summit? But if it were really this simple, I wouldn't be up here talking to you today. What we do know is that this is indeed incorrect. What we've been telling everyone, and the reason why our obesity rates continue to rise, is because this is what we tell everyone. Just eat less and exercise more. Eat less, exercise more. And people try to do that. And maybe it works for a short period of time, but it doesn't last for very long. What we do know is that obesity is a complex, multifactorial, relapsing, remitting disease where genetics and development, environment, and behavior all play a person's role in developing this disease that we call obesity. So let's talk about the most important organ that regulates our weight, and it's indeed our brain. So if we were to slice our brain down the middle, we get to a portion of the brain called the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is getting signals from different parts of our body to tell us how much to eat and how much to store. We get signals from our fat tissue, what we call adipose tissue, our large intestine, our small intestine, our pancreas, and our stomach, and it sends signals back to our brain to tell us how much to eat and how much to store. And I'm gonna get complex with you guys for just a minute so you can learn the pathophysiology of this disease of obesity. There are two primary pathways by which our brain travels to regulate weight. The pathway on the bottom that you guys see in my slide, and the pathway at the top. When leptin, which is a hormone that signals from fat cells, binds to the receptor here at the bottom, it signals a neuron in the brain called the POMC, or the pro-opiomelanocortin neuron. For people that travel down that pathway, they receive an anorexigenic signal. Anorexia, what do you think? You eat less and you store less. These are the people that are naturally lean and tend to be that way without even really trying. For those that may struggle with weight, they travel down an alternate pathway called the AGRP pathway. And a different neuron fires in the brain. They get an orexigenic signal, which tells them not only to eat more, but to store more. That's the complexity of this disease that we call obesity. And when we talk about it just being about how much sugar and how much flour and everything that we're eating, we discount what you see on the screen right now, which are the over 100 potential contributors to obesity. Factors that are inside of the person on my left, factors outside of the person on my right. Things at the top increasing how much we eat, things at the bottom decreasing how much we burn, and then things in the middle affecting our intake or expenditure. This is indeed complex. What we have to recognize that this is an important disease. I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues so that they can talk about how we're using startups to address this issue. Dr. Meller.